The three main National Party leaders have all stumped for votes in Alberta during this campaign.
Good morning. Awesome. Good morning. I see the Oiler earrings are out. And we're going to always fight for the people of Alberta.
It is fantastic to be back home in Alberta.
I even have my mother and my brother here. Where are they? There they are. My mother's over there. My brother, Patrick. A lot of good memories from Edmonton.
The CBC's poll tracker has the Conservatives at 59% in Alberta, with the Liberals trailing at 28.6%. But there are still a few key ridings in some of the city centres that are too close to call. Our next guest, he's been watching the race in Alberta closely as the final days of the election take shape. We are joined now by the CBC's Jason Markusoff, who is in Calgary. So Jason, the poll tracker, it suggests a commanding lead for the Conservatives in the province. How much can the Liberals and the NDP hope to realistically break through?
Yeah, I've looked into the future, and surprise, surprise, spoiler, on April 28th, we'll be saying that Conservatives have won most seats in Alberta. There are 37 seats. That's pretty much a given. You zoom out, the entire map will be blue. You have to zoom into the cities, Edmonton and Calgary, for some gains. That 28% for the Liberals would be a disaster in a place like Ontario or BC or Atlantic Canada or Quebec, but in Alberta, that's a very good result for the Liberals. They've gotten much lower before, and a large part of that is because the NDP vote has largely collapsed. There have been some elections recently in the Trudeau years, and Trudeau is, of course, not a very popular person here, where the NDP finished second provincially, but that is not going to be the case according to the polls this coming year.
Yeah, look, 30% for the Liberals in Alberta is a winning lottery ticket. You mentioned map, and as luck would have it, we have one right here. And you're right, when you zoom out, it is very blue. But when you zoom in, you do see a smattering of different colors. I want to start with Edmonton. And you see there is a lot of blue. There's 2 orange seats there right now. But Jason, just walk us through the seats that you're focused on, because the New Democrats, Conservatives, and Liberals all have hopes in this city.
Yeah, so the Liberals are hoping to make gains in Alberta, significant gains like they've not made before. One of their big target seats is Edmonton Southeast. Down in the corner, riding that Amarjeet Sohi, the current Edmonton mayor, has held in the past, and he is running there again. Next door to him, there's also Edmonton Gateway. That's a riding where Tim Uppal, the deputy leader of the Conservatives, is running, but the numbers and demographics seem like it could be favorable to the Liberals. They hold Edmonton Centre, but that is not a safe seat for them. In fact, Tricia Estabrooks, the NDP candidate, former school board chair in Edmonton, has been campaigning very hard. Jagmeet Singh, the leader, has been spending a lot of time there, and she could take it. That's a riding where we actually could see the Conservatives in Alberta finish third in a seat. Wouldn't that be something interesting? Randy Boissneau, the current MP for that riding, is not running. Griesbach is an interesting one as well, if you can pop over there.
Yeah,
on
that's
the magic map.
Yep.
That's one the NDP have held. Blake Desjardins is running against the former MP Kerry Diot, who spent a bit of time as a Rebel correspondent in the Edmonton legislature while in between jobs. And that's a tight race. That's a place where the NDP fears that the Liberal surge could cost them, and could have Kerry Diot, the former MP for the Conservatives, finish up the middle. And then there's Strathcona, which, according to a lot of polling forecasts, says that in a nuclear apocalypse for the Orange Party, could be their last seat standing, because the strategic vote in that riding, it's a very progressive riding where Rachel Notley has been provincially. That is where that is one of the best margins for the NDP in the entire country. So that one should likely stay orange.
Okay, if we can just zoom in on Edmonton here just for a second, just to Vanna White this for everybody. Edmonton Strathcona, that's Heather McPherson. Just north of that, Edmonton Griesbach, that's Blake Desjardins. That's one the NDP trying to hold. This is Edmonton Centre. That is Randy Boissneau's seat. It is blue right now because the riding boundaries have changed. And what has happened here is we've transposed the vote from the last election onto the new map, and it shows how it would have gone had these boundaries existed. So that's one the Liberals have and are looking to keep. This is Southeast. That's where Amarjeet Sohi, the mayor of Edmonton and former infrastructure minister in the federal government, is running. Okay, Jason, that's Edmonton. Calgary, there is a Liberal in Calgary. This is George Chahal, but there's like 3 or 4 that are kind of in play in the city. Walk us through those.
Yeah, Calgary has never in its history had more than 2 seats go red. Barely has any seats go Liberal to start with in its long history. There was like a 50-year drought between Pierre Trudeau's first election, 1968, and Justin Trudeau's first election in 2015. And it's been always tough sledding. But the Liberals are targeting and think they have a serious shot in 4 ridings in the city. Which one did you want to start in, David?
Well, they're all kind of clustered together, right? So we've got Calgary and McKnight. That's where George Chahal is running, and with the rebounder, he was in Calgary Skyview last time. So Chahal is running there. That one looks pretty good, I think it's safe to say, for the Liberals. But right next door, that's Calgary Nose Hill. North of that is Calgary Skyview, which was the name of the riding held last time, but the Liberals think they might be able to pick this one up too.
Yeah, that's an interesting seat. In one part of this, in the east end of that riding, is a very Liberal-friendly polls. A lot of good community ties that George Chahal has made there in what's his former riding. Across the other side of Deerfoot Trail, the big highway running through Calgary, is very conservative-friendly territory. But there's one of the interesting wrinkles in that seat is that there was a big nomination, very competitive nomination. Former provincial cabinet minister, the former Conservative MP, were all gunning for that seat. None of them got the chance to vie for the Conservative flag because they appointed somebody, and that's actually caused a whole bunch of controversy. I spoke the other day to the Conservative riding president, and he's not helping that guy. Because his daughter was going to run for that seat. And the Liberals are running a pretty new guy who's a sort of protege of Chahal. That could be a really interesting one to watch. Did you want to go down to the...
Yeah, let's go to Calgary Confederation, where the Liberals, Corey Hogan is running there, right? From the university there, but people may know him as one of the 3 hosts of the Strategist podcast.
See, if you're a political nerd, you might know that name. Quite communications savvy. He has an interesting signs up around the riding, play on the riding's name. Confederation is worth fighting for. He's going up against, it used to be Len Weber's seat, a 3-term MP. He's left. Former UCP, United Conservative Provincial MLA, is running in his place, Jeremy Nixon. That's going to be a tight race. It's also where the NDP are showing probably more orange than elsewhere. So that's definitely going to be one to watch. And Corey Hogan's making a serious run, probably more serious than any time the Liberals have had since 2015 there. And then do you want to do centre next?
Yeah, let's finish on Calgary Centre, because it's really just those 4, right? Calgary Centre, I believe that's Greg McLean's seat, and this is where Kent Hare had been elected in the past. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
2015, Kent Hare, that's right, the former Veterans Affairs Minister ran. This year they're running Lindsay Lunau, who's run before for smaller parties, but seems to be doing really well in that riding. It's got good bones for the Conservatives, as any downtown inner city area of any city in the country. Winnipeg, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton do well. It's a very progressive part of the city. In fact, the Conservative candidate tries not to talk a lot about Poilievre. Poilievre's not a very popular figure there. So the the progressive bones are good for the Liberals in that riding. But Greg McLean did win that area by 50% last time. So it is going to be quite a lift. They'll have to do quite a bit of convincing of people that Poilievre's just not worth voting for, and Carney is.
Okay, one last quick question for you, Jason. I've been talking to Conservative MPs who are running out there throughout the campaign, and a couple of them have said Daniel Smith was coming up at the doors early in the campaign, and not necessarily in a good way because of the issues with her relationship with the United States. What kind of an impact is the UCP Premier going to have in this thing?
One of the candidates, Corey Hogan, actually has one of his pamphlets has Carney versus Smith. Their images on the cover, trying to make hay of the fact that the candidate Jeremy Nixon had ties, and that in a lot of pockets of Calgary and Edmonton, she is not popular, especially given some of her comments that she made about Trump, about Poilievre being tied to Trump. Poilievre's actually coming to Calgary for a whistle-stop rally tomorrow afternoon in between Saskatoon and BC. In the past, he has rallied with Danielle Smith. This time, very unlikely.
Interesting. All right, Jason, always appreciate it. This is CBC's Jason Markusoff in Calgary.